Hey guys, it's Natasha and welcome back to Natasha's Creations, or welcome to Natasha's Creations if you're new. So I was working for a really magical place called the Storyteller's Cottage for about a year, but the place has since shut down. We did not survive the pandemic, so yeah. But the last few months we were working from home and making videos for the place's YouTube channel, and I wrote this little ghost short story, and basically did like a dramatic reading of it. And I have gotten permission to share those videos on my own YouTube channel, so I figured since it's October, this is the perfect time to do that. So without further ado, this is part one of a 3-part ghost story video. Enjoy. Welcome to the first episode of Ghost Stories at the Cottage. I'm your host Natasha, and tonight I'll be reading The Cursed Teacup, written by yours truly. Part 1. Gwen Hawthorne was a brave gardener. She started working at the old Pattison Mansion after receiving the most prestigious award in the world of gardening. But she wasn't just the best gardener in all of Simsbury. She was also an amateur crime detective. At least, that's what she told herself after years of watching true crime shows and reading detective novels. And she was actually at the mansion to investigate the death of the housekeeper, Daisy Miller. But what she found was way beyond what she could have conceived of in her wildest imagination. It had been weeks since Gwen had begun her investigation, and she had absolutely nothing to show for it. Peeking into windows and chatting up the other employees on their way in and out of the mansion was getting her nowhere. She needed to get into the house. But how? "Where do you go for lunch?" Sally Hubline asked her one day. Sally was an aspiring playwright and a successful actress who was a frequent visitor at the Pattison Mansion. She and Gwen had quickly struck up a friendship. "Well, I usually bring a packed lunch and eat under the weeping willow in the backyard," Gwen answered dreamily. "Or I just walk down the street to the pizza place." "Not today," Sally said excitedly. "Come eat in the kitchen with me. Mrs. Finch makes the best tea sandwiches. I like to sneak in there in between writing sessions." Gwen Hawthorne now had her ticket into the house and a suspect to question. The kitchen was the size of Gwen's old studio apartment and decorated even more beautifully. Behind the marble-topped island, Mrs. Finch was artistically working on her lunch presentation. "Hi, Mrs. Finch," Sally announced their presence. "What you making?" "Spaghetti alla puttanesca," Mrs. Finch declared proudly. "Could you make us some tea? I brought a friend today." Sally gestured toward Gwen. "Hi, Gwen," Mrs. Finch smiled. "How's the garden coming along?" "It's looking pretty good," Gwen smiled back. And so it went. Gwen began eating lunch in the kitchen more and more often until she was going there every day, even when Sally wasn't there, which was the perfect time to continue her investigation. "Did you know Daisy well?" she asked Mrs. Finch at lunch one day. "Yes, we were great friends," Mrs. Finch answered, uncharacteristically quiet. "She used to eat lunch in the kitchen sometimes, too." Mrs. Finch perked up a little. "I'm so sorry." Gwen felt like she might be overstepping. "Can I ask what happened?" But she had to take the risk. Mrs. Finch was quiet for a while. "She was sick," she finally said. "Fits and hallucinations. Eventually, she just wasted away." "When did it start?" Gwen asked. Mrs. Finch thought for a minute. "Right after her birthday. It was a great birthday. The governess even gave her a vintage Japanese teacup she found in an antique store in town. Would you like to see it? I keep it tucked away in the cupboard to remember her by. Mrs. Finch pulled out a delicate and ornately decorated teacup with cherry blossom accents. It was beautiful. And that concludes part 1 of the Cursed Teacup. Let us know in the comments below if you think that Gwen will be successful in her investigation, if she'll figure out what happened to Daisy Miller, and let us know if you think Mrs. Finch knows more than she's letting on. Comment below what you think will happen next and join us next week for part 2 of the Cursed Teacup.